All right, we are here for another lesson. Today, we are talking about factoring with the GCF, otherwise known as a greatest common factor. So let's take a look at our agenda. We're going to do I do, we do, you do, first with factoring numbers out of coefficients with two terms, then factoring out of coefficients and variables with two terms, then finally factoring out of coefficients and variables with three terms. Your learning intention, I will be able to successfully factor a greatest common factor out of an expression with both constants and variables. Success criteria, I can find the greatest common factor of at least two numbers. I can find the greatest common factor of at least two variables with or without coefficients. And I can successfully factor out the greatest common factor and find the remainder. So, first, let's talk about what factoring is. What is factoring? Factoring is separating a polynomial back into a product. Back into a product. So, for the example of this, we would have 4a squared plus 8a would be factored back into 4a times a plus 2. And when you factor, you should always be able to do the distribution to get back to your original point. Okay? Factoring to me is reverse distribution. It is reverse distribution. So let's take a look at an example. Oh, excuse me. We're talking about the steps for factoring a GCF. First, identify the GCF of the polynomial. Check the coefficients for a GCF, and then look at the variables. A variable must be present in all terms to be a GCF. If a variable is present in all terms, you take the one with the smallest exponent. More on that later. Step 2, divide each term by the GCF. Leave the remaining factors in parentheses, and then you stick your GCF outside the parentheses. Step 3, if you want, you can check your work by distributing. So, our first one, we're going to factor the polynomial 3x plus 12. But what I have to do to factor 3x plus 12 is I have to look at my two numbers. Okay, I have to look at 3 and 12. And I'd say, what is the largest number that divides evenly into both? The way I best do this is I take the smaller number, so in this case, 3, and I figure out my factors of 3. What numbers divide evenly into 3? Well, we have 1, and we have 3. And that's it. So then what I do is I take those numbers, starting from the right side, starting from the largest, because remember we're looking for the greatest common factor, and I check, does it go into every other number I have? Does 3 go into 12 evenly? Yes. Okay, great. So we're going to divide both of these by 3. So now the question becomes, do I have a variable I can take out? And the answer to that is no, because while there's an x here, there is not an x here. So you can't pull out an x when there isn't one. So our GCF for this is 3. So now we're going to do division. 3x divided by 3. The 3's will cancel out, and that'll leave you with only x. 12 divided by 3. I can go to my calculator. I can check 12 divided by 3 is positive 4. I'm going to take my two terms I have. I'm going to put them in parentheses. And then I'm going to stick my GCF, which is 3, outside the parentheses. And that is my answer. Okay, so like I said, it's just distribution in reverse. Overall, not too terrible. All right, so we go on to our next problem, 8m plus 36n. All right. So what I now have to do is I have to check for the largest number that goes into both 8 and 36. So like I said last time, I take my smaller number 8. I say, what numbers go into 8? I have 1, 2, 4, and 8. Okay? So I now start at the right. I check for 8. Does 8 go into 36 evenly? No, it does not. So 8's gone. I go to my next one. 4. Does 4 go into 36 evenly? Yes, it does. So my greatest common factor is 4. So now I look at my variables. Can I factor out a variable? And the answer to that is no, because while both of these terms have variables, this has an m, this has an n, so therefore it does not work because they are not the same letter. So my greatest common factor is just 4. So do 8 divided by 4, that is 2. The m divides with nothing, so it just comes down. 36 divided by 4 is 9. The n divides with nothing, so that just comes on down. Put it in parentheses and stick your greatest common factor outside the parentheses. And that is your answer. All right, let's move along to number 4. Number 4. 4 is 7y minus 7. Okay? So, I'm going to look at my two numbers. Actually, excuse me, this is supposed to be a you do. So real quick, take a minute, pause the video, see if you can figure this one out on your own. Give yourself, I would say, 45 seconds. So let's talk about what our answer would be. My two numbers are the same, so obviously the largest factor that will go into both is itself. So I'm going to divide both of these by 7. I cannot divide by a variable because y is not in both of these. 7 divided by 7 is 1, so that cancels out. That's going to leave us just y. Negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. That goes in the parentheses, and you stick your 7 on the outside. And you're done. All right, so we're going to move on to question 5. 4y squared minus 24y. So this is still the same process that we used at the start. We're going to take our two numbers. We have 4 and 24. And we're going to find the greatest common factor of those two numbers. Okay? So I'm going to take my smaller number, which is 4. What numbers divide evenly into 4? Well, we have 1, 2, and 4. Does 4 go into 24? Yes. Okay? So we're definitely dividing both by 4. The difference in this problem is that we now have a y in both of these. We have y squared and we have y. If you have a variable that's the same letter that's in both, then you can take out that letter. How many can you take out? You can take out an amount equal to the smaller exponent of the two. Remember, if you don't see an exponent, it's 1. So, I can only take out one of these y's, because I can't take out 2 because this doesn't have 2. So I'm going to take out y to the first from both. Okay? 4 divided by 4 is 1, so those cancel. Y to the second divided by y to the first. This is now quotient rule. Remember quotient rule, when you have two things with like bases being divided, you can just subtract the exponents. So this would be 2 minus 1, which is 1. So this would be y1. Negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. and y1 cancel out. So you put that in parentheses, and you stick your greatest common factor outside. And that's your answer. All right, let's go to number 6. Before you start listing factors, you could just look to see if the smaller of the two numbers goes into the bigger one, because you can see that 3 goes into 21. So you don't have to go through the work of listing the factors because you know 3 goes into 21. In the same way back here, you didn't have to go through listing the factors of 4 because you know 4 goes into 24. So we're definitely dividing both of these by 3. Now, is there a C in both? No. Is there a D in both? Yes. So you can take out D. You can only take out one D because there's only one D in each. 21 divided by 3 is 7. C has nothing to divide with, so it just comes down. D and D cancel out. Minus 3D divided by 3D. We know that anything over itself is 1. 5 over 5 is 1. 6 over 6 is 1. So therefore 3D over 3D would equal 1. So this would just be 1. The parentheses off. Put your greatest common factor on the outside. And you're done. All right, let's go over a couple more. Number 7. This is a you-do, so I would encourage you to pause the video, try this one on your own, and see if you can figure it out. Okay, I'm going to assume either you're not pausing the video or you have paused and come back. So let's figure this out. Smaller number of the two is 14, so let's find our factors of 14, because 14 does not go into 18. Our factors of 14 are 1, 2, 7, and 14. We already know 14 doesn't go into 18, so that's gone. Does 7 go into 18? Not evenly. That's gone. So 2 goes into 18, so that is our greatest common factor. So we're going to divide both by 2. D is not present in both, so you can't take it out. H is. There's one H and one H, so you're going to take out one H. 14 divided by 2 is 7. G has nothing to divide with, so it just comes down. H and H cancel out. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. H and H cancel out. Stick it in parentheses, and stick your greatest common factor on the outside. And that's your answer. We got one more set of problems to do. This is now where we're going to put in a third term. And this looks intimidating, but I assure you, adding the third term adds no additional steps. All it does is that whatever your greatest common factor is has to come out of all 3 and not just 2 of them. We're still going to follow the same procedure. What is my greatest common factor? So I'm going to take the smallest number, which is 6. Factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. These are numbers that divide evenly into 6. Does 6 go into 14? No. So it does not matter if 6 goes into 10 because it doesn't go into 14. It has to go into everything. Does 3 go into 14? No. So we cross it out. Does 2 go into 14? Yes. So now we check, does 2 go into 10? Also yes. So we're going to divide everything by 2. So now we check our variables. We have a y here, we have a y here, we have a y here. We can take apologies, my dog is upset. Are you good, Professor? Okay. We can take a y from everything. We have y4, y3, y2. Which one of those is the smallest? y2. So we're going to take y2. All right. 6 divided by 2 is 3. y4 divided by y2 is y4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. 14 divided by 2 is positive 7. Y to the 3 divided by y to the 2 is y to the 3 minus 2, which is y1. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Y2 and y2 cancel out. Put it in parentheses. Put your greatest common factor on the outside. And you're done. More. Find R8 minus 18R squared S minus 24R S squared. All right, let's start. For greatest common factor. What are our factors of 9? We have 1, 3, 9. Does 9 go into 18? Yes. Does 9 go into 24? No. So 9 doesn't work, because remember, it has to go into everything. Does 3 go into 18? Yes. Does 3 go into 24? Yes. So we're going to use 3 as our number. All right, R. This has R, this has R, this has R. So we're going to pull out R. We have R8, R2, R1. What's the lowest R? It's R1. This has S, this has S, this does not have S. So we can't pull out S because not everything has it. So 3R is our greatest common factor. So let's do divide. 9 divided by 3 is 3. R to the 8th divided by R to the 1st is R to the 8 minus 1, which is 7. Negative 18 divided by 3 is negative 6. R to the 2nd divided by R to the 1st is R to the 2 minus 1, which is R. S just comes down. Negative 24 divided by negative 3 is negative 8. R and R will cancel out. And then S2 just comes down. I'm sorry, I keep bumping the camera. Put it in parentheses and put your greatest common factor outside. And that's it. We got one more problem to do. Let's get it done. Then we can call it a day. 2x squared y minus 2xy squared plus 4xy. Okay, greatest common factor. 2 very much goes into everything because 2 goes into 4. Bam, bam, bam. Does everything have x? Yes, this has x, this has x, this has x. So we can pull out x. We have x2, x1, x1. Smallest is x1. So we're going to pull out a single x. Does everything have y? Y squared, y. So y1, y2, y1. Smallest one is y1. So we'll pull it out. All right. And now we just do our division. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Cancels. X squared divided by x is x to the 1st. And y divided by y cancels. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. X and x cancel. Y squared divided by y is y. Y to the 2nd divided by y to the 1st is y to the 2 minus 1, which is y to the 1st. 4 divided by 2 is 2. X cancels. Y cancels. So it's just 2. Put in parentheses and throw your greatest common factor on the outside. So, let's take a look at our learning intention again. I will be able to successfully factor a greatest common factor out of an expression with both constants and variables. I can find the greatest common factor of at least two numbers. We did that in literally every problem. So if you're comfortable with that, give that a check. I can find the greatest common factor of at least two variables with or without coefficients. We did that in questions. We did that in box 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So if you're comfortable with those, give that a check. I can successfully factor out the greatest common factor and find the remainder. That is putting what's left in the parenthesis and putting the greatest common factor on the outside. If you're comfortable with that, check it. And if you've checked all three, then you have mastered the lesson. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you for hanging out and putting up with my technical difficulties that I've been having. See you in class.